Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to welcome you all to session 22 of Beers with Engineers. Super glad to have you all here. It's kind of like hanging out with a group of friends once a month, you know. It's really nice. Will and I always joke about how this is our favorite day of the month. And it's not far off from the truth. So, good to get together and hang out again. And today we always have to start with the safe harbor slide because some of the things that we're talking about may change as they get pushed into GA. And we always want to make sure that we're clear that functionality may not exactly land the way we talk about here. And overall, don't make any stock purchasing decisions based on anything that we discuss here today. We'll it's same agenda as you guys know. We generally like to keep this pretty loose and pretty formal. Um, as always, interactivity is, most fun for everyone involved. So at any point you have questions, feel free, drop something in the Q&A, or raise your hand, or even come off mute and just jump in with questions, right? The whole point of this is for you guys to have an opportunity to get into some of the deep dive of what we're working on. So let's talk about why we're here and um, what the whole point of this is, right? So Will and I actually built this series out because we realized that there's a lot of different ServiceNow customers that are moving along this cloud native journey, managing infrastructure in the cloud, doing containers, doing the, official like CNI cloud native pieces. And there's not a lot of discussion around how folks are using ServiceNow in that journey. And there's not a lot of opportunities for customers to kind of talk with each other about that as well. So, as you know, at the end when we turn off the recording and open up the floor for conversation, the goal of that is for everyone to talk and discuss and think about how things are going. So let's talk about who we are. I actually am an ex-ServiceNow employee. I have moved over to the customer side of the house and I run the enterprise applications team for a trading firm out of Chicago called DRW. I am an old school tech nerd, been doing it longer than I care to admit, and I love what I do. I love all things from a IT operations standpoint. I've been in it for a very long time. I am all about how do we intelligently and effectively use technology in order to solve business problems. I play a lot of board games. Funny enough, my mom got me a shirt that says Board Game Legend for Christmas that I happen to be wearing today.
Nice.
And I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is actually one of the reasons why I am not drinking a beer today. I'm sticking to my healthy water because I'm training and preparing for a competition in a couple months, and I need to lose some of the beer weight. So, um, Will, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. Will Hallam. I'm a advisory ITOM architect at ServiceNow. I'm focusing on IP operations management, automation, lots of different cloud native arenas. I've been at ServiceNow about 3 years. Before that, I was on the practitioner side for several decades, working kind of in that same realm, and really found that I enjoy taking repetitive tasks and automating them. And that was kind of how I came into the ServiceNow orbit. Is it's such a great platform for doing those kind of things. And in my spare time, I like spending time with my family, play a little pickup hockey here and there, and enjoy video gaming. And I am not training for jujitsu, so I will be enjoying a Sam Adams Cold Snap, which is a delightful white ale.
I'm just gonna say I'm envious. It sounds good.
So before we launch into our main topic, we just wanted to touch base. We kind of skipped January because I had a lot of travel going on, and it's kind of a busy kind of kickoff month for ServiceNow, and it kind of collided with our normal date that we would have chosen. So it's been since December since we've come together as a group. So we just wanted to touch base on a couple things that had happened since then, just to make sure folks were looped in. So the first thing, and we did actually touch on this in December, was the release of the new Cloud Native Operations, CNO v2, also called Cloud Native Operations for Visibility. And what was announced shortly after was kind of the roadmap for the original version of Cloud Native Ops, which had a lot of it was fundamentally different in a bunch of different ways. And so what they've announced is that that won't work starting with Washington. So when an instance gets upgraded or you build an instance on Washington, it's only going to work with the V2 of Cloud Native Ops. If you're staying, if you've got, Vancouver or older instances, you can continue to use the older functionality through this year. I believe the kind of drop dead date is sometime in 2025. But just from my perspective, it's the new version so much nicer. I definitely encourage anybody I talk to take a look at that new generation of CNO, the Kubernetes Informer, and consider adopting that as your Kubernetes visibility solution. So, but just wanted to highlight that because that was announced shortly after the offering was released, not kind of coincident with it.
My only caveat to like add on that is unless you're using the older capability in CNO v1 to ingest like metrics for health, or the capability to connect up to some of the service mesh technologies, there's no reason not to upgrade to V2, right? V2 is lighter, faster, less resource intensive, and does a phenomenal job. And it's actually easier to roll into um, your kind of cluster stand-up processes than V1 was. So highly, highly recommend to just move over to V2 if you're not already on that path.
Definitely. And then just the other thing I wanted to mention was those of you who've been with the community for a while may recall we did a live event with Mike and myself, an actual beer at Knowledge 2023. We are looking into doing something similar for Knowledge 24. It's still kind of early planning stages. The primary challenge is just being able to get somebody to, fund, getting the room reserved and getting the beverages, etc. So we are working on that. Just wanted to let folks know that we're going to do our best to make that happen again. If you've got any kind of suggestions for topics or things that you would have liked to see different if you went to the event last year, certainly reach out via any of our available channels to help us with that kind of feedback. Always welcome. Okay, so now on to the main event for today. So I'm going to hand things over to Murley, who's going to talk to us about a new offering, which is it's available from the store in the innovation channel today in a kind of an early form. And the idea is to kind of seed the conversation and find out from our customers what the real pain points are with provisioning cloud accounts, and kind of really shape the ultimate direction for this offering so that it matches up against those challenges. So I'm going to release my share, and Murley, if you want to grab the screen share and just let me know when you'd like to pop those polls up.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Will. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So yeah, so today my topic will be cloud account management. So just before introduction, say I've been with ServiceNow last 3+ years now. So into technology around 22 plus years now. So yeah, I'm in passionate in solving many technical problems and say mentoring the team members in going from one level to up in mentoring with my knowledge and gaining other knowledge from their side. So that was my passion of technology in learning. So so this is my third presentation in Base for Engineers. So I presented service graph connectors for AWS and GCP, and this is my third project on cloud account management. Okay, so here if you see where do we go? There are a lot of cloud products in ServiceNow where say you have uh, CPG, CSC. There are a lot of other products, right? Where do we stand the cloud account management, right? So we stand at the day zero where say someone is want to try migrate from on-prem to cloud. Okay, they have a department, they have a say where they want to move the application from on-prem to cloud, right? So they need an account, right? So where so if you see the current process where it takes if you say have a manual process or a semi-automated process where it takes a few days to few weeks, right? So here we are trying to bridge that gap in doing an automation, say where someone in the team can go and make a request, and then there will be approver manager who approves the request, and after the request the accounts can be created in matter of few minutes, right? So that is what we are trying to solve the problem. uh, if you see here, so what are the other features we apart from creating an account is say we planning to say introduce landing zones yeah, in setting up the landing zones, and also say do on a periodic basis of say attesting the account, right? Say today person A will be the owner of the account, and down the line say person A may move out of the company or move out of the project, and somebody has to own that account, right? So for that, yeah, reasonable say audit can be happen for say for a government audit purpose, right? So for that, so we have an attestation process where it'll be task will be created where the there will be a set of people who will be assigned to the task, and they need to verify, okay, person A still is the owner of account one, and if it is changed they can go and change it so that the details are up to date in CMDB. Okay, so once say the account is created, we also are planning to offer offboarding, right? Closing the account, where say, for example, you may created the account for a temporary purpose for a POC or doing some type of say short term, right? Or let's say you're done with the project, you want to decommission the account. So we offer going to offer a where an automation process where you can just go and close the account. So these are the three main flavors of this product we are going to offer. So currently in Innovation Lab, we are focusing on mainly on account creation in AWS. So in future, it will be expanded to Azure and GCP. Okay. So how do we manage all this application, right? Say we want to restrict because since it is an account creation process, we don't want to have any user in the ServiceNow instance to go and access this application because of security reasons. For that, we defined three different roles right now. So one is a requester, so who can be a team leader or a type of a representative in the team who wants to initiate a account creation process. So they will log into the portal and then they make a request. Once they make a request, an email notification is sent to the approvers, where the approval comes into picture, where he is a supervisor, either from the management team or from the finance team. So they will review the request and say where, okay, is it something within our budget? They'll review the request and then they go and approve the request. So once the approver approves the request, so then it notification sent to the provisioner saying that, okay, hey, company can have say more than one cloud org, right? So they will be the deciding party. Okay, this account request has to go to org one or org two or org three. So they are the decision makers based upon their say historical facts or the guidance from the CCY leadership. Based upon that, they go and provision the account in a they assign the request to a particular org. From there, the automation kicks off, say, creating the account from end to end. Okay, so these are the three roles we are going to use it. And for say demonstration purpose, we have created some test users. With that, we are going to go and say demonstrate the users. So, any questions until this point of time?
Just a comment. When I first saw this offering get announced, it brought me back to my life as a customer, because one of the things we were struggling with was a desire on the part of our business users to dynamically provision AWS accounts. And AWS provided some kind of very low-level basic tools to facilitate that, but there was no approval process around that. There was no workflow that we could customize so that it followed our business processes. So when this came out, it just brought me right back to that particular challenge that I had experienced firsthand, and wished that this was available back then, because we would have been able to really provide that flexibility to our business users while maintaining all of the, I was in a regulated industry, so there were a lot of auditing and approval and accountability requirements that we couldn't just expose the AWS console to all of these business users. It had to have some kind of a flow around it. And so I just think this is really great that we're offering this kind of capability.
Thanks, Will. Anybody else?
There's a question in the Q&A. Will Cloud Account Management be used for access management to the resources, integrating with Azure, IAM, etc.?
Yeah, so the initial offering is say, okay, let me step back a little bit here, right? So you can have, say, if you see the cloud hierarchy structure, right? We are right now not focusing on IAM in the near future. We're focusing on the subscription accounts in each cloud, right? So we assume that, okay, you already have a cloud org, everything set up because of the security purpose and all billing purpose, right? And what we are facilitating is say, okay, go and create a subscription account on the fly in a very fastful manner, right? In a secured, fastful manner where with all the approvals in picture, right? So that is what we are focusing on. So right now we're focusing on a member account in AWS. The future would be Azure subscriptions, and next would be GCP projects. And after that, I will be stepping into IAM resources.
And I would think in the interim, because it's all just built on top of standard platform capabilities, as well as using Terraform on the back end, in the interim, if somebody did want to add that level of customization, all of the hooks are there. They could do that. It's just it won't do it out of the box until farther down the roadmap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is the technology stack we're using it. Say currently in ServiceNow side, we are using say UI Builder, PAD Playbook. I don't know how much you're aware of it. So it's a framework where it's built upon say the flow designer framework, where it gives you a Kanban type of a view visualization where you can arrange the activities in the way you want. I will show you shortly, where it allows you to do more customization based upon your needs. So out of the box, we say, okay, we are offering this many steps to create an account. So down the line, say if at all you want to introduce something in the middle, you're free to go and introduce it so that it will fulfill your custom needs, right? And we are going to use Pace where it helps you to it's a Pace is a platform as a code engine where it allows you to execute rules in say in between the steps. Let's say for example here in the first release, we are what you're doing is the steps are manual, where let's say once my request has been made, it will go as a manual approval process where somebody has to come and approve or deny, right? So with the introduction of Pace, what going to happen is say let's say my request is for dev environment, and my budget is say, let's say my dev budget is say $2,000. My request budget is $1,000, right? So with a certain set of criteria, if I'm within the criteria, it will automatically allows you to say make an auto approval without any manual intervention, right? And also when coming to say the second phase, say provisioning process, right? So right now somebody has to go and assign, okay, request one from business unit one, so has to go to org three, right? So that is been done manually in the phase one. In the phase two, when you introduce phase, what is going to happen is say that can also be automated. Okay, so they do have a mapping. Automatically they can go and map automatically, so that once you make a request, if it falls under all the limits, so the account is created in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, all the process automated. So instead of taking several days, it can take within few minutes that you get the job done, right? So that's the way where the phase is coming into picture. The other one is say the main integration hub we're using it, say, to interact with many APIs. That's the whole tech stack in ServiceNow side. And in terms of integrating with cloud, so currently we're using Terraform, where the Terraform scripts are there in the GitHub. So as soon as you make a request, so it pulls the code from the Terraform GitHub, and then it executes the Terraform code, and then it creates the resources in the account in the cloud side. Okay, so this is the tech stack of our this application. So any questions so far?
I assume that's Terraform Enterprise, right?
Currently, yeah. So the phase one supports Terraform Cloud, and we're adding support for Terraform Enterprise too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody installs this today from Innovation Lab, where do they get that those Terraform templates that reside in the Git repo?
Yeah, we will share that. We will share that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me jump into the demo. So the different topics I want to cover is say the CAM config. Say is the place where you say initially set up. It will be done by the provisioner from the CCOE team. So he is the person knows all the credentials, all those settings in Terraform and also in GitHub. So they will come and say set up the configuration for each cloud org. With that, a requester will say now then once the setup is done, then it is open for say requester to go and make a request. Then the approver will say come and approve or deny it. And once that is done, the provisioner will make a provision the request, say setting the right context for the cloud org, and then we will see the how the execution is done and what are the logs we can see, all those stuff in the demo. So I logged into the instance where I want to share. So as I said earlier, right? So we have 3 different types of roles. So I logged in. I will log in as a requester. So who is say Beverly Campbell. So here you can see a nice dashboard where how many requests has been made, how many accounts has been created through the scam, and then what is the stats of say what is my approvals, pending approvals, approved ones, denied ones, and say once we introduce say what are the different platforms, applications they are used, the different type of applications, right? And also nice stats of okay how many accounts has been created in the past couple of months, and also what are the different types of environments they created. So these type of stats you can see as soon as they log in. And here you see the recent 5 request which has been made. They can see with the status. Okay. And with that, say if I want to create a new request, I'll go here and then I will select the environment which I want to do, right? So here out of the box, we ship 3 type of environments. So if customer, there is a table called sys choice table where the customers can go and introduce their own environments like say POC, stage, test, or say or the performance, right? They can introduce all type of environments. So which has been tied to many other ITSM and ITAM products, the same environment value. Okay, so once they populate those prefix, right, it gets, so this the screen will have all the environment listed here. So they can go and say make a selection of say if they want to have one account created or for each environment, or they can have multiple environments created. So for each environment, we'll create a one request. So if you see here, say we will ask the customer to fill in the say, okay, so what type of cloud they want in future once they introduce Azure at GCP. So this is a decide account which cloud environment they want to create. So that's what they mention it. And here the temporary dates, let's say if you are creating the request for a temporary time, you can fill these dates. And then you can fill in the monthly budget, say $1,000, right? And then you can select the applications. So these values are say part of the platform tables we're using it. So we assume that say we are creating those pre-populating those values upfront so that we can refer to them. So the reason why we're doing is say the same cost center values we used to in cost. Say there is a other product, say CCM product and other ITSM product, right? So we all refer to the same table, same values, so that we are talking to the same cost center, such way that we are having a meaningful data referred in all the places. So we just fill in all the details, whatever we want, and then say we go on it. So as a standard mechanism, what we do is we take all these parameters as a key value, and we'll populate as a key value tag in the cloud account. And if at all, let's say you feel you want to add more tags, say my tag one, and then say my value one. So I can just go and add those values. So this will be an additional tag attached to the account. So that once it comes back to the CMDB, you will see as a key value tags in the service account table. We just fill in all the details and say production, I say $5,000, right?
So we get this question a lot when we talk to customers about any of our offerings that provide these kind of basically template, forms or catalog items. If the customer wants to take that and then autofill some of those fields, that's something that they would be able to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we are working on that, Will. So the way we are working on it is say, when you create a ServiceNow user in the ServiceNow instance, so you will attach that user to a cost center business unit, right? So if in the next version we are trying to say auto populate all these values, say if it is already there. If it is there, we already automatically populate all these values. If it is not there, we'll let the user to go and do it. So when I have a plans of say the future where you go and create a profile where say if let's say I'm creating an account quite often, right? So we can go and set up these values as a predefined values.
Yep.
So that we can repopulate all those stuff. Yeah, so those are the plans are there. So this is the vanilla version what we came for right now. So I enter all the values, I go and review it, and then I make a request to submit it. So now what happens is say a notification is sent to the approver group where there can be one or more than one approvers. So they will get an email and then they come to the portal back. So once they come to say there will be unique link sent to for each request. There will unique link sent to that email. When they click the link, email, they will be ending up in coming to the portal where they can see the request. One second, sorry. So once they come in, right, so they will see what are the requests which have been made here. So they can see all the requests. So we created 3 requests right now. So it will be, they can see the request. So they can go into the request and review the details. I think I took the wrong example. Let me take the development. Yeah. So they see all the details, who raised the request and what are the budget, everything. Okay. So once they see that request, you should see your. Okay, 1 second. Maple is the manager. Maple is set up the user. Yeah. So they go to the request. For some reason, that user has been having some issues. So here, once the say, request has been done, so they review the request. So they will either say approve the request or deny the request. So if you're denying the request, let's say I'll take one more denying the request. So they need to say denied for say over budget. So what happens is once this step has been done, whoever raised the request, they'll get a notification saying that okay, whether the request is approved or denied. So once that is done, so now a email is sent to the provisional group saying that hey, the new request has been approved. Now it's time to go and provision it. So there comes another user called Kyle. So once they log in, they will see the request which is ready for approved. So they come here and then select the appropriate cloud context. So the one of the reason here is right. Even though I make a request for AWS, say the CCOE team or the leadership may decided, okay, all the new accounts has to go to GCP or Azure. So where at that point of time, you can go and change the context. So it is not that say whatever the request is made, you will be assigning to the same cloud context. So here you can go and assign to Azure or GCP instead of AWS. It's up to the provisioner group who decides the environment what they want. So based upon that, so we will populate which cloud org we want to create, and then say click on provision. Okay. So when it comes to provision, I'll just give a pass here, and I will. So here, so they will see the here is where the process automation designer comes into picture, where they can see the real-time executions of each task, each action. Say basically when you talk to Terraform, right? So you go and create a workspace, then add the variables to the workspace, then you start triggering the workspace where it goes into say apply state, then it comes to the final stage of say provision, right? So those are all steps you can see it in real time. I'll show you shortly the Kanban picture. So here, so here what happens is once you say apply, approve the as in the request, so it will start executing all the Terraform workspace workflows in a sequential manner, and then say we also can see the executions happening for each request.
Now, I noticed you had to acknowledge that kind of instructional record at the beginning for it to proceed. Is the idea that that would be a place that a customer could inject any kind of, um, procedural requirement before triggering the actual provisioning?
Okay, so that instruction step is say normally what happens is say uh, whenever the request record is updated, right? So this pad process will check into the status of okay, it has reached the desired state. So here we are looking for a state called approved state. As soon as the state is reached, so this pad process automatically gets triggered, right? So we don't want to do that before assigning the proper cloud context. Okay, so that's why I had that initial step to say stop automatic execution before the cloud context setup. So
Gotcha.
when you start introducing pace, right? So those steps will be done before, and then say you don't need to see, you will not see all this stuff. Okay. So what happens is as soon as the automatic provision is say automatic assignment of the cloud context has happened, the pace automatically gets triggered in the background, and it is getting completed. Okay, so you see, we are going through several stages here. See, there are say one is I'm prepping the environment and then creating the workspace. Now contacting cloud to go and create the account. So these are the different steps as happening, and at the end of the step, you see uh, you capture all the Terraform attributes, and also a new account is created. So I can copy this account, and then I can go to the cloud. Uh, See, new account is created just now. So that's what the end process is. So once it is completed, a notification again sent to all the groups, say requester, approver, and provisioner. They said that okay, this is the account number got created, and they will see that say they'll get the email notification. So here we just created an account, so we got an email. Okay, so I'll talk about a little bit about in the end what is email alias and all. So right now this is the end-to-end process. This happened all in within a few seconds. So any questions until now?
There's a couple in the Q&A. Do we have a target for GA for cloud account management yet? It's currently in the innovation lab,
I think it's in Q3.
Q3.
I'm not perfectly sure, but yeah, the dates are yet to reach. Why do not use
And
employee center? Is it possible to use catalog item scan? So the reason we're not using employee center is say this whole product want to restrict in a secure way. We don't want to open it for the whole world in ServiceNow, right? So that was one of the key requirement from our PM, where just introduce this columns only for few people in the team, so that because we are going to add a lot many features where it involves a lot of auditing, right? So that's the reason it was restricted to set of people in the enterprise. So did you answer the question, Jonas?
I think one thing there is around okay, good. All right, cool. He says yes. There's another one that popped in from Bob.
Automatically create an app service that yeah. So the whole thing is right. So if you see the initial form, it will be created for a particular app service, right? So that is the whole point here. So you can go and select when you make a request. I'm creating this account for an app service. So you select those app service and this tied to that app service. So yeah, I can show you here the cloud, where once you go here, you'll see all the tags created here. Which application we are creating it.
And then in ServiceNow, did it create an application service with that detail?
Okay, I'm coming to that, Mike.
Oh, sorry, look at me jumping
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my next topic to discuss. So if you see, right, what we do is we depend on certain platform tables, like say environment, cost center, business unit, department, system user, right? So we depend on all these tables. So we request customers to have proper value populated before you start using this application. Okay, so the reason is say this particular values are being used across multiple application service now, and we want to talk in the same language. So I don't want to say, okay, I have an app one has having a name as app one, and if it say if somebody is creating a different name, like say application one, it is very difficult to consolidate all those details, right? Since as a platform we're referring to all common table, so we request say users to say go and set up all these details upfront before using the application. So as a prerequisite, say we ask customers to say fill all these details. Let's say you have 100 business units, go and populate all those 100 business units, and let's say cost centers, you go and populate all these details, right? So we at the runtime we refer all these details and we go and populate all those in as a tags in AWS. So did I answer you, Mike?
Well,
Yeah.
specific to the application service, I noticed when I was trying this out, it required that I select an application service to associate with the cloud account that I was
I
requesting.
think I missed that particular entry here. Sorry. Yeah, it includes application service too. Yeah, we need to add it. I think I forgot to add this point here.
Yeah. So in theory, you could have an overarching flow that, you know, if you're onboarding a new application service and your procedure calls for it to reside in its own AWS account, you could use the overall automation capabilities of the platform to generate that app
Yeah.
service record and then kick off a cloud account creation that aligned to that app service.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is all about I was talking about the service now, how we handling all those end to end. So let me dig deeper a little bit into the AWS concepts. Say, as you know, the previous two products which I developed, so we asked the customers to have give us the limited permissions so that we can do our job, right? Similarly, here also we're asking, in order for me to go and create an account, right? So we need to go and create a IAM user in the management account. So we need to create a role with these permissions so that sorry,
Merle's
I
with me
can,
on the water trip.
sorry.
You're with me on the water today.
So we request customers to say go on AWS admins to go and set up a role with all these permissions so that the application can do all this, say, creating of the new account. Okay. So currently there is a caveat here. So we don't support a STS assume role currently. Uh, so for example, we ask customers to go and create a user in the master account, right? So maybe in the future, so we can have a say place where you can create a IAM account in any member account. From there, we can assume the role in the master account, and then we can go and initiate the org API calls. Okay, and also in future, we are also planning to have a credential-less approach where say you have a mid server in cloud where we can get the temporary STS token. With that, we can go and make an API call here. So those are all feature enhancements we are planning for. Okay, so one of the main thing I forgot to mention here is say ours is the solution is completely midless solution. So there is no mid server involved, only purely ServiceNow instance, Terraform environment, and cloud. So I forgot to mention it earlier. It's completely a midless solution. Maybe when it comes to a credential-less solution where Say, let's say I don't want to give you the credentials, but let's say you're creating a VM instance in a cloud where it can get the STS token. So there we may need a mid server involved. Other than that, there is no mid server requirement as of now.
It seems like that's a little bit mitigated by virtue of these permissions, which largely seem to be kind of mostly read only.
No,
Yeah.
they're not read only. They're actually creating an account, right? It's not read only.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I missed create account. Okay.
Yeah, create account, move
So
account.
if the create account API call is coming from the instance, what is it using? What is it using Terraform for?
Yeah.
Well, because Terraform's, I thought Terraform was actually creating the account.
Yeah, Terraform is creating the account, but the code is stored in the GitHub. So this is
Okay.
yeah. So we are calling this say API in the Terraform, right? So you pass all those values, and it can be called from Terraform.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. So the next topic I want to talk about a little bit more about AWS root email. So as most of you know, each AWS account requires a unique email ID, right? So let's say in a company where you have thousands of accounts, it is very difficult for someone to create a unique email ID every time. And with this automation, it is hard to predetermine all those, say, creating an email on the fly, contacting AD server. It is very difficult to do it, right? So how do we solve this problem? Is say we are asking customers to say create an email alias. For example, here you need to say the AWS admin need to contact uh, MS admin, right? So where they go and create an alias. So here I may give an example, say AWS-CCOE at mycompany.com, right? So this is the email alias they created. And what we do is say they need to make sure that, okay, if I suffix any other text with that email and say at the email dynamic email, right? So they should be able to receive the email into the mailbox, which to this email box, right? Such a way that we can create thousands of emails, unique emails, and attach to AWS requirement of having a unique email ID, and whatever the communications goes to that email goes to one email ID, such a way that I get all the communications for this particular org into one email box, such a way that I can say get all the requests coming to one email box. So to show you here, here we created an email account just now, right? So I got an email to this say hi Tom, AWS Kaffa, and the request number is 96 at servicenow.com, but my actual email ID is this one. Hi Tom, AWS Kaffa at service.com, right? So all the emails created for dynamically comes to this email alias, so that I can manage those accounts from here. So if I want to
So
reset the
was that
password,
by virtue of some rule that you had to request within our M365 email system saying, hey, anything that starts with that that DL with a plus and then a suffix, send it to the base DL. Okay.
Yeah. So that way I can easily manage the account, right? So that helps all for us to also automate the whole stuff.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, so with this I can have a centralized communication coming to my things, and also if at all I want to change the password, I get the notification to this email ID where I can go and reset it. I can do all those say management stuff here. Okay, so one other thing I forgot to mention is say in terms of configuration. So here is what yeah. So let's say I'm creating an account for the org one, right? So I go and set up all those details here. Okay, so I give the root email alias here, and I give the the Terraform code where it is residing it, and for which cloud org I'm going to refer to this configuration, and what is the cloud type, everything I give here. So what happens is, say this details is being picked up dynamically in the runtime, and then it is getting executed. So the one other thing I want to show you is on the pad framework.
He just really quick while he's pulling that up, I want to jump back to something. That plus email address thing,
Mhm.
that's actually a little known trick that is supported by all mailboxes. It's called a sub address. And anything that after the plus is basically ignored and it's delivered to the email address without that plus in it. There's a whole RFC that documents it. And
Nice.
funny side trick, you can actually use that in your personal email addresses. If you get an email, if you give someone an email with plus blah blah blah, then you can quickly filter on that and you can actually know who it came from if you want to like track who's selling your information, that kind of stuff. It's kind of an interesting trick.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, so we saw in the provision, we saw that, okay, when they click the button, there are a sequence of steps happen, right? So this is what is that, right? So what we do is we prepare the execution flow. So where this is the place, okay, my request is AWS, I'm requesting for org1, right? So what we do is, from the configuration, we try to refer that record and then send it to the next section, where I go and create an execution context. So what happens is, say whenever whenever I run the flow, it'll create a new request here. What happens is, say, let's say for example, I given the wrong password, or I did some typo, right? So what happens is, every time I don't want to use the customer, okay, there is some technical issue happen, I don't want you to go and create a new request and approve it. So we will still use the same request, approved request, and we can run multiple times, so until the issue is resolved. Okay, there can be issue in the Terraform configuration, there can be issue in the AWS configuration, right? So issues can happen anywhere, right? So what happens is, we create a new context for the same request until it is successfully done. So they need to just run this pad framework flow every time when they want to rerun the whole flow. So we go and make a new request, and then this will have the complete logs. So we capture all the logs from the Terraform and from the cloud. Say, okay, we executed many steps here, right? And if you see here, there's a counter, because there is a, whenever you run the Terraform, it takes a couple of seconds to get it done, from, say, from initiating to next step, it takes some time, right? So what we do is, we keep on polling the Terraform whether the job is done, and then we capture all the stuff, so that we do a retry from our side. So once it is done, we go to the next step. Okay, so that is what you see here. So whenever there is some error happens, I can show you one example here. So whenever some error happens, we capture those errors and can put it here in the logs. So this helps, say, for example, the CCOE people, they can see all in one place what went wrong. They can go and fix that error and come back and rerun the whole flow, and then they can do it until they are successful in creating the new account, right? So this logs helps them into where, and also this one, you see where this log came from and which step. So we have a number of steps here, so where we can see where the issue has happened. Okay, and here is what the beauty of this framework is, say, so as out of the box, we given these features, right? So if at all you want to customize it to your needs, you can just go and create a new activity and introduce in the middle, and you can drag and drop the way you want. Okay, so that way it helps you to more customize to your needs, and then you can execute it, right? That's the beauty of this framework.
That's awesome. Hey, Murli, do you want me to pop up those polls real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I really like this process automation designer flow. It's really, really helpful. So Really
So
nice.
yeah, we're gonna just pop up a couple quick polls, just trying to because part of this is kind of the back and forth, and this this tool is very early in its life cycle, and so you have an opportunity based on the real challenges within your environments to kind of shape its direction. Murli, do you see this question about the GA offering in the Q&A? Maybe you can respond to that.
So yeah, the initial target is Q3. We are targeting AWS first, and maybe later Azure. But it's in pipeline. We already started working on it. Yeah, um, we need to see when we can ship it as a GA, Jones.
Okay. Oh, so when I went to test this and I went to install it from Innovation Labs, I noticed that until you gave me the direct link to the app in the store, I couldn't find it via search. If that's still the case, what should customers do if they're interested and want to try it out, but they can't locate it in the store?
I can give you the say I can type con the
Okay,
contact
yeah, if
person.
you can give me that link, I can include it in the because I'm gonna at least send out our slides. If your slides are available to send out, I can send those out as well. But between the two slide decks, I can include that link when I send the wrap up email, if that works. I mean, you could put it in the chat now if you want, but
Sure.
if you don't have it handy, we can just send it out as part of the wrap up
Yeah, I have
emails.
it handy. Sending it out now.
Perfect. Yeah, I hadn't really realized that there's kind of tiered levels of how available something is. It could be an Innovation Labs and searchable, but it could also be an Innovation Lab, but you have to work with, somebody like your account team to actually get the URL to install it, just to try and, manage the implementations and the evaluations and make sure that somebody doesn't get themselves in over their head.
Yep. Cool. I know we're coming right up on time. Did we want to fire off that other poll or
Yeah, here. I think where'd my polls window go? Oh, it won't let me. Okay, yeah. I'll have to end this one and go back. And now I'll launch the second one. Poll skills.
Yeah, given the link and also the point of contact, PM Ram Devanathan. So you can reach out to him for any further questions and
Oh,
plans you
perfect.
want
Thank
to
you.
share.
while we've got that poll, now's a good time to jump in with any questions that you have.
I have one last slide, Mike.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, once they're done with the poll, I can go the last slide.
All right, we'll give it another 30 seconds.
Yeah. These seem to align with the answers we're getting so far seem to align with my experience as well.
Okay. Polls are closed. Go right ahead with your final slide.
Yeah. Yeah. So here is what, right? So we want to listen to the customers, right? Okay. What are the main things they want to focus on, right? So right now, if you see, we are focusing on account creation. In the future, we are planning to say have a feature for account suspension and the closure process, which is say nothing but let's say I want to limit my budget and overspend, don't want to overspend, right? So we are going to offer a feature called suspension where they cannot create a new resource. And let's say if they want to gracefully close the account by setting all the resources, right? So we're going to offer those closure process. And also we're planning to have a support for Azure and global projects in the future, right? And also we have plans to say have plans to do with CACD and creating a landing zones, credentialless access, and also integrating with AWS Control Tower, right? So we just want to know which are the features you want to go as a first choice or second choice, right? That would be of great feedback help so that we can focus on those solutions which you guys wanted.
Awesome. So, yeah, a great channel for that kind of feedback is the PM for the product, Ram, whose information Murley's put in the chat. We'll also include that in the wrap-up emails that go out after the session recording is posted. So we'll make that available. And as always, invite and welcome all kinds of feedback and participation. There's a question: how can I get my colleagues invited to this meeting series? The easiest thing to do is just when the wrap-up email arrives, it'll have the sign-up link for the next session, and then you can pass that along, share that URL with any colleagues or teammates that you think would also be interested in.
Excellent. Well, Murley, as always, it's great to have you on. We love the deep detail that you get into in your presentation. So thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's exactly what the folks need to hear, right? So really, really appreciate it. And with that, we're looking forward to seeing everybody again next month. I appreciate you guys running a little long with us. And I think unless there's anything else, Will, we can shut down the recording and Will and I can stick around and chat any questions that you have for us.
Sounds good.